Okay guys, so today we are going to focus on the features of our functions. Some of us are going to have them given in slope-intercept form. Please remember that the number being multiplied to your x is your slope and your b is your y-intercept. It is also considered your initial or start value. The first day we were at a school, I had you start to compare these. You're pretty familiar with y equals mx plus b and what the slope is, and is often called rate of change as well. So for tomorrow, what I'm gonna have you do is do some comparison work on this IXL. So this IXL is really gonna help me understand whether or not you have mastery of this. So let's kind of slide on over here and see what it is we are working with. So they're going to give you two functions, and one is going to be given to you in an equation and one is going to be given to you in a graph. And then they're going to speak to some of the features. So one of the questions may be about slope and another question may be about the y-intercept, and you'll have to dissect that information. So they're telling us that they're both linear, which is great. So what you have to do right now is examine the question and what they want. So they're asking you about the slope. So they're asking you to consider whether or not the slope of A is greater than the slope of B, or is the slope of A less than the slope of B. So the features you need to look at are just slope. So when y equals 5x, the 5 is your slope because that's the coefficient to the x. And then when we look over here, we're looking at the grid. Now I'm going to enlarge this because, as you remember, I can't see all that well. And what I'm seeing is that we have an integral point here and an integer point there and an integral point here. So what I can do is I can say that I can go up 4 over 1, up 4 over 1. So the slope on the graph line is 4 over 1. And the slope on the equation is 5. So clearly, function A has a greater slope than B. So the slope of function A is greater than the slope of function B. And then you would just move on to your next. So this one again is on slope. So I'm just going to walk you through a little bit. Again, we have a slope of 5. That's the coefficient on the x. You can see that. I'm going to look over here and check out the slope here. So I see a nice integral point here and another one here. So this is at the 5 and that's at the 9. So it looks like it's going up 4 over 1. I'm going to confirm that down here, going up 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So the slope on function B is 4 and the slope on function A is 5. So the slope of A is greater than the slope of B. Now some of you might have to write those pieces down to make sure you understand. So let's look at this one right now. Again, the question is in regard to slope. So I'm going to just kind of open this up nice and visual. Always check your scale. So I'm going from 5 to 9, which is 4 over 1. And I'll just confirm that here, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So for function A, the slope is 4. And for B, the slope is 5. So in this case, function A is actually less than function B. Okay, so now they've switched features. So now if you look at the question, they're asking you about the y-intercept. So that's actually, I think, a little easier for us to see. It's a little more concrete. You're just going to look for where the line crosses. You can see the y right here. This is your y-axis. Where the line crosses your y, that's your y-intercept. So the y-intercept on the graphed one is at the number 5. The y-intercept here is at -2. So function A has a greater y-intercept than function B. And that's because this is 5 and that is -2. And be careful on that. You have to account for the negative. So move on there. We're back to slope on this next one. So once again, the slope of function A is 5. This one will be a little more interesting. It looks like it's going up 1 over 1. So slope of function B is 1 and slope of function A is 5. So the slope of function A is in fact greater than